Good day everyone, I am Elmer Chavez Jr. from BEd 2B. Today, we will be discussing Lesson 19, Laws and Policies on Violence and Discrimination of the Members of LGBTQ+. Before we start, let us have first our objectives, which will serve as our guide for today's discussion. At the end of the lesson, the learners or you should be able to determine the various Philippine laws and policies for protection of rights of members of LGBTQ+. Identify the different anti-discriminatory laws and policies and know the acts leading to violations of these laws and policies. To start, let us have first an activity. It is called 4 Picks 1 Word. What you are going to do is to guess the word that connects all 4 images. Now, let's start with this one. What do you think is the word? Yes, you're right. The word is equality. It shows that people should be treated equally, especially those who are part of the LGBTQ plus community. Next, what do you think does the pictures show? Yes, you're right. This shows bullying. It is one of the common things or situations that the LGBTQ plus members experienced. May it be physical, emotional, or through verbal harassment like the term bayot ka, tomboy ka, salot ka, wakay pulos, and etc. Next, what do you think is the word? Yes, you're right. The word is rights. This shows that everyone has their rights in life and in any aspects of life, especially those who are part of the LGBTQ plus community. Kasi hindi sila nabibigyang pansin or hindi sila masyadong nabibigyan ng karapatan gaya ng pagtatrabaho dahil sa kasariang mayroon sila and on how they behave. Now, let's dig deeper. The 1987 Constitution, Equal Protection and Due Process Clause. The 1987 Philippine Constitution states that the state values the dignity of every human person and guarantees full respect for human rights. It is stated in the Article 3, Section 1, 1987 Philippine Constitution that no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall any person be denied the equal protection of the laws. As the fundamental law of the land, the guarantees on equality, lawful processes, and the paramount consideration on ensuring human dignity and respect for human rights in these provisions serve as the basis for the protection of the rights of members of the LGBTQ plus community. No? The 1987 Constitution, hina-highlight dito yung the equality, yung the rights of every human, no? Because we all know that the LGBTQ plus community are all human, 'di ba? Meron kasi mga tao na uh, for them the lesbian, the gays, the bisexual, the transgender is mahina sila, no? They are being considered as yung hindi nila kayang gawin yung kayan gawin ng isang lalaki, ng isang babae, no? Um, in which the 1987 Constitution, nakailagay dito yung equal protection. When we say equal, walang dapat nangunguna. So, dapat tayong lahat as we are being treated equally. The 2010 Supreme Court decision in the Ang Ladlad case, which is Ang Ladlad LGBT Party versus Comelec on April 8, 2010, considered the breadth of the Equal Protection Clause in the Constitution. The court ruled in favor of allowing Ang Ladlad to be a party list, reasoning that from the standpoint of the political process, the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender have the same interest in participating in the party list system on the same basis as other political parties similarly situated. 'Di ba? Kasi hindi naman naiiba yung lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and etc. Because uh, meron din silang mga, they have the knowledge, they have kanang, meron din silang alam sa in terms of the political, no, in political aspect, 'di ba? um, that's why here in the Ang-Ladlad case, the court allowed the Ang-Ladlad, which is the party list of the LGBTQ plus, na maging, that they are allowed to have a party list, no. The next, violence and discrimination. In March 2016, the Trans Murder Monitoring Project listed 41 reported cases of transgender people murdered in the country since 2008. No? Noong 2008, marami talagang napabalita na marami yung namamatay sa sa ano, sa in terms of mga transgender people, hindi yung mga transgender people but also those mga lesbians, mga gays, di ba? So the case of General Laude awakened members of the LGBTQ plus of the violence and discrimination impending against them, no. Ito yung nagpukaw ng pansin nila na dapat yung part ng or the members of the LGBTQ plus community should not be discriminated, should not experience any violence, no. That they should be treated equally, no, gaya ng on how we treat kanang yung mga lalaki, yung mga babae. Now, let us proceed to the violence and discrimination against LGBTQ plus youth in education. Ano ba yung na-experience nila na mga discrimination, mga violence in terms of education? And what are those acts na magagamit, or what are those acts used to protect the rights of the LGBTQ plus community? Now, first one, we have here the Anti-Bullying Act of 2013, Republic Act 10627. It includes gender-based bullying as a prohibited and punishable act. When we say prohibited and punishable, now it has been protected by the law, no? Na dapat, what do you mean by gender-based bullying? Gender-based bullying is defined as any act that humiliates or excludes a person on the basis of perceived or actual sexual orientation and gender identity, or the SOGI, no. Gender-based bullying is yung pagbubully or yung pagbully ng isang tao based sa kung anong kasarian mayroon siya. For example, yung mga gays, yung mga lesbian, no, they are being kanang humiliated, no. They are being they are being left out kasi for the other is iba sila, no. So this act will protect the LGBTQ plus. Ano pa? The Child Protection Policy 2012. In cases where the bullying is committed by a principal, teacher, or any other school personnel, the law being violated is Department of Education Order Number 40 on Child Protection Policy. 'Di ba? Meron kasing napapabalita na yung teacher is for example, minolestan niya yung minolestan niya yung student niya, pinapahiya niya yung estudyante niya na part ng LGBTQ+. So, those, kapag ganyan yung mga cases na ang gumawa ay mga principal, mga teacher, or any school personnel, the Child Protection Policy 2012 or the Department of Education Order Number 40 on Child Protection Policy, ito yung magproprotect sa mga sa LGBT. This policy includes the protection of students from any form of violence regardless of their sexual orientation or gender identity, no? It is highlighted there that regardless of their sexual orientation or gender identity. So hindi lang yung mga lalaki, hindi lang yung mga babae, hindi lang yung mga gays ang napagtutuunan ng bansin, but all of them, no? All of the members of the LGBTQ plus community. Now, Another is the Special Protection of Children Against Child Abuse, Exploitation and Discrimination Act of 1992, Republic Act 7610. Parents of children who suffer abuse at the hands of teachers or members of the school's administration violates RA 7610 or the Anti-Child Abuse Act. Such cases can cover instances of physical, psychological, injury, or cruelty on the basis of the child's soji, no? Social of the child's soji or their sexual orientation and gender identity. 'Di ba? Kasi meron kasi na they tend to kanang ginapasakitan na nila ang bata, no? Physically, 'di ba? Or like kanang verbally, 'di ba? Sinasabihan nila ng ganyan ganyan which will affect their behavior talaga, no? Next, let's proceed to the violence and discrimination against LGBTQ plus youth in the workplace. No, ano ba yung nararanasan ng mga LGBTQ plus in the workplace or sa pagtatrabaho nila? No, and what are those what are those mga laws that protect them? No. First one, we have here the Labor Code of the Philippines, Presidential Decree 442. It is the national law covering employment for the private sector in the Philippines, with the exception of prohibitions against discrimination of women. It does not contain any provision that prohibits discrimination on the basis of gender identity, particularly on the members of the LGBTQ+. No? Um, However, nakasaad lang sa Labor Code of the Philippines na um, may exception lang dito is the discrimination against women. So hindi talaga nakasaad dito kung particularly sa mga members ng LGBT. However, no, while the law is quiet on gender identity and expression, it is clear in its Declaration of Policy Article 3 that the state shall afford protection to labor, promote full employment, ensure equal work opportunities. When we say equal work opportunities, dapat pinapayagan yung isang lesbian, isang gay na magtrabaho, no? Because nakasaad dyan na that the state shall afford protection to labor. So they are part, no, to promote full employment and ensure equal work opportunities. Dapat inaalam nila na magtrabaho ang isang gay na, for example, yung gay pagtatrabahoan niya is, for example, yung mga kanang kailangan ng kanang mag-alsa og mga bugat na butang, di ba? They are discriminated. Ay makaingon, the people will say na ay dili niya na kaya because gay siya, no? So it is stated here that all should have equal work opportunities, no? Dapat bigyan that all of us, uh, specifically those who are part of the LGBTQ plus, should have an equal work opportunities. Okay. The absence of a national law that explicitly prohibits discrimination on the basis of gender identity makes it easier for employers to have reasons for not accepting, firing, or depriving members of the LGBTQ plus of their employment benefits. 'Di ba? Kasi wala talaga when walang nakasaad doon na that prohibits discrimination on the gender identity. That is why there are those employers or the bosses na mga boss na hindi nila na-accept yung part ng member ng LGBTQ plus community, no? Hindi nila i-accept or either they gina-fire nila, no? Um, um, in which it is not good, di ba? Often policies on uniform, the documents and use of comfort rooms are used against members of the LGBTQ plus employees and even applicants, di ba? In terms of the uniform, the gays or the lesbians are being discriminated, no? And also in we all know that the comfort rooms, di ba? maraming mga debates na nangyayari in terms of comfort rooms, 'di ba? Because for example, the gay, hindi nila inaalaw yung gay na makapag CR doon sa male, no? And also the lesbians, hindi nila naalaw na makapag CR sa sa female, 'di ba? And also the documents, no. They tend to kanang ginapangitaan nila og kanang what are those kanang ginapangitaan nila og mali, no, para lang dili madawat ang member sa LGBTQ plus community, no, even the applicants. Now, the CSC number 010940, the Civil Service Commission's policy on anti-sexual harassment. The Civil Service Commission Administrative Disciplinary Rules on Sexual Harassment Cases includes other less grave punishable offenses. These include prohibiting derogatory and degrading remarks directed toward the members of one sex or one sexual orientation or used to describe a person. Now, what do we mean by derogatory and degrading? Now, these both describe language or actions done that are intended to insult or diminish someone, and in this case, those who are part of the LGBTQ plus community. This rule applies to all government entities that fall under the civil service jurisdiction. The policy is important because it explicitly covers derogatory remarks regarding sex, sexual orientation, or other remarks that are used as description of a person with the intention to insult. The fact that the perpetrator and the victim are of the same level or position will not preclude the victim from filing a case. While gender identity is not specifically mentioned as a ground, if an LGBTQ plus civil servant is harassed verbally by co-workers, na for example, they are being, sinasabihan sila na, you are, wala kang nagawa sa ating company, or you are kanang wala kay pulos, tinga na ba? So, they would be able to rely on the generic protection from derogatory and degrading remarks based on this, ito, no? Sa Civil Service Commission Policy on Anti-Sexual Harassment. In the 2007 case of Silverio v. Republic of the Philippines, the Supreme Court ruled against petitioner Silverio's wish to change her first name and gender marker on her birth certificate. Melly Silverio, who underwent sexual reassignment surgery initially won in the trial court. No, si Silverio, no, he okay, he tend to change sa iyahang first name, no, in which na nag nag-undergo siya og sexual reassignment surgery, no. The office of the Solicitor General intervened thereafter, arguing in the Court of Appeals that the Regional Trial Court of Manila was mistaken in its ruling due to the fact that there is no law allowing change of first name on the basis of sexual alteration. 'Di ba sa una niya is 'di ba he was being kanang na na nakapasa siya sa pinakauna niyang trial, 'di ba? He initially won sa first trial. So, the office of the Solicitor General intervened thereafter, no. This nakasaad doon na there is no law allowing change of first name on the basis of sexual alteration, or pagkanang yung pag-change niya ng kanyang sex, no? 'Di ba nag-undergo man siya og sexual sexual reassignment surgery. No, the Court of Appeals ruled against Melly Silverio, and the SC affirmed that the Court of Appeals ruling. In this case, the Okay? In this case, the Supreme Court ruled that there was no mistake to be corrected as the birth record is not in dispute as the sex of the person was determined by the birth attendant at the time of birth. So therefore, dapat kung ano yung paglabas mo or pag anak pa lang nimo, if you are male, then dapat your name should be male. No, it should not be kanang dapat hindi yon mabago. No? No. So, um, your sex, your sex, no, should be the sex of the person was is determined by the birth, by the time of birth, di ba? Yung paglabas mo is lalaki ka, so your sex is male, no? If you change or you underwent yung mga sexual reassignment, yung ganyan, your sex is still male, no? In another case, ay, ito pa. It elaborated that sex as a term does not contemplate inclusion of persons who have undergone sex reassignment. Likewise, it argued that allowing her, no, si Silverio, to change her name and gender marker will alter established laws on marriage and family relations, 'di ba? Ma-change talaga. Kasi, 'di ba? Dapat hindi inaalaw na mag-change siya ng name and gender because it will kanang maiiba na yung labag na siya sa law, 'di ba? Um, and another we have here the case of Jennifer Kagandahan. In the 2008 case of Republic of the Philippines v. Jennifer Kagandahan, the court ruled in favor of a name change to Jeff Kagandahan on the ground that Jeff had an intersex variation. No? 'Di ba? Unlike kay kanino yung kanina kay kay Silverio, no, unlike kay Silverio, he undergone or underwent sexually assignment. Kay Jennifer Kagandahan, she or he has an intersex variation. What do we mean by intersex? This is a word used to describe a person who is born with a body that doesn't fit the typical definitions of male or female. This might be because of their genitals, chromosomes, or hormones being a mix of what is usually considered male or female. Now, for example, a baby might look like a girl on the outside but have some male traits on the inside or the other way around, no, 'di ba? Uh, like yung sa mga, 'di ba meron tayong nakikita sa KMJS na the yung isang lalaki is um, uh, pag uh, pag anak pa lang sa iyaha is meron siyang genitals ng babae at saka ng lalaki. So, in that case, no, um, congenital adrenal hyperplasia, the court agreed with Jeff's ability to self-define his sex because he has simply let nature take its course and has not taken unnatural steps to arrest or interfere with what he was born with. 'Di ba? Meron siyang choice kasi dalawa yung um, he has intersex variation man, 'di ba? Meron he could be pwede siyang maging babae at pwede siyang maging lalaki. No, kasi determine kasi doon kung ano yung mas pabor sa kanya, no? 'Di ba? Siya ay si Jennifer Kagandahan. She want to change her name to Jeff Kagandahan, no? So this focus on biological sex is consistent with the court's contrary position for transgender people who are deemed to be attempting to change their biological sex. No, 'di ba? Naiiba siya because kay kagandahan kasi or kay Jeff, no, since gusto naman niyang maging si Jeff. So si Jeff kagandahan is um, inalaw lang yon ng court. It is because he has the right or it is based on his kanang biological sex man, unlike those mga transgender people na gusto nilang, for example, yung lalaki gusto niya maging babae and yung babae gusto niya maging lalaki, no, because they have kanang naman sila, they have a choice, di ba? So kay I mean naa sila choice to be who they are because ang biological sex ang masunod, no. If you are kapag pinanganak kang kanang if pinanganak kang lalaki, so your sex is lalaki talaga, no. It is apparent when the court favorably notes that Jeff could have undergone treatment and taken steps like taking lifelong medication to force his body into the categorical mold of a female, but he did not. No. So si Jeff Kantagandahan is wala siya nag-undergo og mga unnatural, like for example the sexual alteration or the sexual reassignment na mag-change siya ng sex or mag-change siya ng mga ng genitals, 'di ba? Kasi marami kasing ganyan, 'di ba? Those mga transgender people, no. In summary, the Philippines have various anti-discriminatory policies for members of the LGBTQ+. However, these policies are not yet sufficient and a national law on anti-discrimination is still wanted. Nonetheless, the rampancy of discrimination of members of LGBTQ+ are prevalent, a huge issue that the Philippines must address. No. We all know, meron talaga nagproprotect sa mga LGBTQ+ community. Meron mga laws na nagproprotect, but we should also consider na meron talagang hangganan or meron talagang kanang we have the boundary, no, we have the boundary to consider na hindi lahat ng gusto mo ay masusunod, no. Then okay, and that ends our discussion for today. I hope that you learned something. Please be good all the time. Thank you and God bless us all. Goodbye everyone.